Every time you're out for a dive, unfortunately, you do see pieces of garbage and plastics kicking around in the ocean.
And we're seeing more and more in our seafood. There's microplastics in their systems, which we end up consuming as well.
So what we've done is we've organized a dive against debris at Black Rock Beach.
We get some pocky sticks. Kind of looks like a shotgun shell.
I love seaweed and I love
Unfortunately, some people think of the ocean as a big abyss or a big dumping ground. But once something makes its way into the ocean, it may affect marine life, and it may just stay there forever.
When we go for a dive, I can't think of one time that we haven't picked up at least one piece of garbage out of the ocean.
Like, this feels like there could be fingers inside of it.
I did a Dive Against Debris event a few years ago, and we found a toilet and a space heater and a stereo. Like, you would not believe some of the things you find.
A tire. I mean, the ocean is my favorite thing in the world. So I love to share my passion and my knowledge of the ocean with others. I am an ocean educator. I do it not only through the scuba diving courses that I do, but I also educate youth online through virtual classes.
She teaches through an online school called OutSchool, and she teaches marine biology kind of through the lens of being a scuba diver to school-age children.
We're starting to see the threats caused by humans, and I do think the next generation of people want to do more to protect the ocean and to conserve it. One of the specialties that I'm an instructor for is to teach Dive Against Debris. Dive Against Debris is a PADI course, and it was created in partnership with Project Aware. So the Dive Against Debris course is all about learning about plastic and garbage in the ocean. It's about participating in an ocean cleanup and documenting what kind of plastics that you find and see. The Dive Against Debris course has two portions. It has a classroom session and it has a physical dive. So Jen, Sarah, Colton, and Julia were all interested in taking this course. So we met at Torpedo Rays to do our classroom session.
Colton and Julia are two of our friends in the Torpedo Rays dive community. They're both from Nova Scotia. We actually did our advanced course last July together. And that's actually how I met them, through doing a scuba course.
Dive Against Debris is one of the PADI certifications I've wanted to do for a while. Every time you're out for a dive, unfortunately, you do see pieces of garbage and plastics kicking around in the ocean. And so I was really fortunate to have a great instructor take us through that course.
Colton recently got his Dive Master certification, and he really wants to take this and run with it and make diving kind of more of a career.
The way the course works is that we're going to do the classroom section right now. We're going to read through the handbook, and we're also going to conduct our knowledge reviews. After we've done that, we'll be able to choose a dive site and then actually go diving. For part 2 of the course is to conduct the dive itself. Unfortunately, about a garbage truck of garbage ends up in the ocean every single minute. That's pretty absurd to think about. Like, we need to do better. And in fact, through Dive Against Debris, we can do better.
Professor Alana. She makes it entertaining and like super laid back, but she's also just very, very knowledgeable on all ocean topics.
Most of the plastics specifically that we find in the ocean are fishing related, like fishing ropes, fishing lines, and nets. The data that we do collect during our survey dive will all be uploaded into MyOcean, which is the database made by Dive Against Debris. And all of that information is public access. So it could potentially be used to change policies, for researchers to use, or just for people like us who want to know about marine debris, where it's coming from, and what the most common types of debris are.
And that will help scientists understand like where a lot of the ocean garbage and debris is like ending up. So that kind of reporting actually is very helpful.
Does anyone have an idea where they think would be a beneficial dive location for us to do a dive against debris?
I grew up in an area in Blandford, and there's usually lots of debris in that water. So there's a lot of boats that traffic through there, so I think there will be a lot of trash.
Is this Meisner's Beach?
It is.
Awesome.
Cool. So next steps, we're gonna head over to Blandford and participate in our very own dive against debris.
So we decided to go to Blandford and dive right around the wharf area.
Which is where Jen grew up, actually, like just across the street.
My whole family is from around here. It's the first place I ever went swimming, first place I went to the beach. There's a lot of history here for me.
Oh my God, look at it go!
He's like in the sun.
We have different categories of the different kinds of garbage and plastic that we'll find. Maybe food wrappers, maybe furniture, maybe some bottles.
So yeah, we're looking to hopefully have some good fish today. We should be around 15 to 20 feet of water and hopefully not lots of debris, but if there is, we're gonna try and get it out of there.
All right, let's get our gear out here.
Look how colorful the tanks are. Our primary objective for this dive, like any dive, is to have a safe dive. So we've made a plan, we'll try our best to stick to our plan as well as dive within our limits. The secondary objective is then the dive against debris. The plan for the dive is to do the dive against debris. I don't mind doing the navigation side of things, so the three of you can concentrate on the 3 tasks that you're gonna take turns swapping. Colton's gonna be at the back, watching over everybody and kind of acting like our dive master.
He's like our
Guardian Colton. Then, like we talked about in the classroom, we'll fill out this sheet here. Post-dive, we'll sort through the garbage and record it onto this sheet, which I'll then upload onto the Dive Against Debris platform later on today. All right, if no one has any questions, we'll go to our cars and gear up.
Oh yeah, baby.
So this is my weight for my BCD. The gear that we use, and I mean the suits particularly, they're quite buoyant, which means if you want to go under the water, you need more weight to actually accomplish that.
So Julia's on camera, you're on pick stuff up.
Yep.
Sarah's on record and hold the bag.
I got my handy bag.
Cool, perfect. Ready to go, everyone?
Going diving. Going down to Blandford, where I'm from, was really special. Going there and just seeing the people and how many people stop by and just be like, what are you girls doing? They were so proud. They were like just like clapping in their car. And I was like, this is kind of strange, but cool.
Definitely, I think it's one of the most important messages we can do right now is make people aware that we shouldn't put anything in the ocean that doesn't belong there.
I think in the past, people did think that it was just an abyss where you could throw something in and it would just be gone. It's pretty disheartening to think about how much garbage is really floating around in the ocean. But truly, we can make a difference no matter how small it may seem. Just by picking up small pieces of garbage that we see, we are reducing the amount of waste and plastics that are floating around in the ocean. So there are 3 different skills that each of the Dive Against Debris participants had to conduct. So one person was in charge of holding the mesh bag, as well as documenting on a slate what they were collecting. The next person was in charge of picking up the debris and putting it inside of the bag. And then the third skill was to take videos to either tell a story about the kinds of garbage that we are seeing or how it's affecting marine life, as well as taking pictures to document what it looked like before we picked it up. So they all took turns kind of swapping through these 3 skills. So we're gonna haul it out of the water and then bring it onto shore and sort through it then.
Got lots of garbage. We're just going to drop off this load. We're gonna go back in and get some more. and then we'll sort it all. We'll see you in a bit.
There was plenty of debris for us to find. We found many old bottles. We found lots and lots of lobster bands because there is a lobster processing plant just down the shore. A lot of the lobster debris that we find here, some of it actually comes from the Gulf of Maine, so it's the American lobster fisheries too.
Plastic is a really bad one because the way plastics have been made is that they last forever. They don't really biodegrade. And plastics are quite buoyant in the water, so a lot of animals will mistake it for food. And unfortunately, once an animal does ingest plastic, they can't digest it and they can't naturally break it down in their stomachs. So it ends up clogging up their stomachs and making them think that they're full. In reality, they're not. So a lot of animals that do ingest plastic end up starving.
It smells like oil.
I imagine.
Good job, everyone.
We got some stuff.
How'd it go?
Good, really good, really successful. We found a lot of pipes, rope, bottles.
They did very well. I was saying they're stars at collecting garbage. We got 2 bags about that size and then some extra bottles. And I think we should also try and collect some of the lobster bands that are just on the beach.
Yay!
Good work.
Did we pass?
Yes!
Sweet relief.
So I really wanted to find out how much the weight of the garbage that we took out of the ocean was, so that we used the luggage scale to weigh that. 22.3.
It feels so much heavier.
My God! Full dump.
We found a lot of bottles too, which were really cool. Jen really was into the bottles. She was putting dates on them and figuring that out.
I am a bottle collector. I never thought I would be, but I now have 3 shelves full of bottles.
These different symbols actually mean different things for the bottle.
Oh yeah.
So it actually means like what company it was, what where the processing plant was.
So it's not all garbage, some of it's treasure.
Here's one that I really wanted to investigate. It's a marmalade jar, an orange marmalade jar from the UK. So I know in my lifetime I've never seen marmalade from this type of jar.
I've done a lot of research on the jar and have found out that it's from before 1867. So it's very old.
And we'll just work through the data sheet on the back there and start tallying how many of each of the like items that we've collected.
I think the most commonly seen item today was definitely the lobster bands.
It's a part that you put around the claws when you capture the lobster so they don't actually clip you or pinch you.
We picked up over 200 lobster bands. That was just from the water. That wasn't even on shore. And when you walked along the beach, there were a lot more lobster bands that should have been picked up, but we just ran out of time.
Just because we're seeing lobster bands doesn't necessarily mean they come from right here, but because the currents kind of make debris travel far, right? So you don't always know where the origin is, but these ones are labeled. So we know that they come from right here.
And Colton's coming with the ones that we found earlier.
We can count those separate. So the next steps for us, we're gonna bag all of this up, we're gonna weigh it, and then we'll be able to upload all of our findings into the database, and all of you will be certified with
I'm really happy to be certified in this area in particular because it does actually mean a lot to me. Even though Sarah and I don't instruct people on diving, we can still instruct people on debris. We can still instruct them on what to do with different materials and kind of guide them in that area of what they will need to do next if they find something. So the more you take your courses, the more you can kind of pass that knowledge on, and it's just going to be better for the overall community.
We are so excited that the day has finally come. We've been planning this Oceans Week celebration for a few months now. So World Oceans Day dates back to the 80s even, and it's an international day. But Halifax actually had the largest World Oceans Week in the entire world. Obviously with the pandemic, unlike other years where there's probably 50+ events happening across the city, this year there was really nothing we could hear that was going on. And so Jen and Alana and I thought, well, I guess this means that we have to plan something.
So what we've done is we've organized a dive against debris at Black Rock Beach in Point Pleasant Park.
This is a high traffic area, so just some exposure and to get people thinking about diving. A lot of times people see it as a warm water sport. So when they see it here in Nova Scotia with our cold water, they think, what, diving? I had no idea you could dive in Nova Scotia, when in reality, we have some of the best diving in the world.
We are open to the public, so we're hoping that any runners and walkers or people walking their dogs or out with their families will come join us today.
We have a shore cleanup, so we'll be giving away prizes, having a barbecue.
Torpedo Rays is here sponsoring. We partnered up with quite a few people today.
We have Admiral here as one of our sponsors. We have Ocean School with VR headsets and a button making station. And we also have Let's Talk Science. So we thought it would be great to tie in our ocean education aspect to our cleanup aspect.
What we're really getting at is that there's no real way to fully clean up an oil spill, and that the best way to stop an oil spill is to not have it happen in the first place.
I made some friends.
We love it.
The Sea Foxes is an all-ladies dive club here in Nova Scotia. We've got about 300 members now, and we're all just women who go diving in Nova Scotia.
My name is Lauren Watt. I am a marine biology student, and I'm also a dive master in training for Torpedo Rays. We're a pretty fiery bunch, and we're all a little kooky, so we get along quite well, and we're very welcoming. Yeah.
So far so good. We're just getting started, having some barbecue problems. We got my dad on the on it to see if he can solve our problems.
Daddy's girl over here.
We'll see. Thanks, Dad. Testing, testing. Oh, there we go.
Hi everyone! Welcome to our Oceans Week celebration. We're going to be hosting a shoreline cleanup and a dive against debris. Come on out and register. We have exciting prizes, we have a barbecue.
The pandemic was definitely a tricky time. A lot of things you saw go down, but one thing you did really start to see rise was just people getting outside and doing outdoor activities. I think diving actually took off a little bit and more people started diving, more people started snorkeling, and I think it's only going to get bigger and better.
As a scuba instructor, my role is to oversee the divers today. I want to make sure that everyone has a safe and fun dive.
I'm here as a rescue diver today, so I will be on the shore and in the water making sure that all of our divers are safe and come back onto land safe.
We're going to be taking these bags to go and grab up some debris, help the community, help the oceans itself, brings everyone together, and yeah, it just makes the world a better place.
There's a submerged crane at about 25-30 feet, like a 10-minute swim.
There are a couple cranes that have been dropped into the water by mistake, obviously, but it's cool for us divers. We can go there and we can see the different cranes, and there's all kinds of different life that forms around it. But when you do look over and you see it's a port, you have to realize, wait, there's big tanker ships coming in, and with big tanker ships, there's a lot of garbage.
I've found some pretty gross things under there, like used tampons, and there's lots of just plastic, and sometimes you get like oil containers from like boats and stuff. Sometimes you find cool older items, cool really old like 100-year-old bottles and stuff.
One thing you'll find a lot of in this particular place is cigarette butts. So we actually have a bunch of prizes that we're giving away, and one of my prizes is for whoever collects the most cigarette butts, because they can do a lot of damage. The filters don't break down like everybody thinks they might. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, so cigarette butts on the ground really gross me out because I've never smoked a cigarette.
So if you're gonna smoke, then you should at least put the butt in the garbage. If an animal eats that or chokes, it can be very damaging and very expensive for a pet owner. But also you want to have a clean area for kids to play and people to walk.
We were almost pleasantly surprised at how little garbage there was, so that was really cool. Yeah, coming out with a big bag of trash, I guess, is a good story. But in our hearts, it felt good that we didn't find that much.
We get some Pocky sticks. Kind of looks like a shotgun shell.
Somebody had a French vanilla with milk.
Couples who dive together, strive together. Oh!
Jen, definitely life of the party. She brings all the energy. Yeah, just fun, easygoing, loving person. Yeah.
A good friend of mine that I actually did my master's with, she works with OceanWise. The first weekend that I moved to Halifax, I did a shoreline cleanup here, and it was with you.
Yeah. So OceanWise is a global conservation organization, but it started in Vancouver and we've spread first across the country and then across the world. We work on 3 pillars of ocean conservation: climate change, plastic pollution, and my job, which is overfishing, so fisheries and seafood sustainability. 20% of people on Earth rely on seafood for a source of protein, so it's really important that we have a sustainable harvest of these resources. And right now, overharvest and overfishing is one of the greatest issues that we face in the ocean space. OceanWise tackles plastic pollution as well.
And we're seeing more and more in our seafood that there's microplastics in their systems, which ultimately we end up consuming as well.
We see a side of the world that not everybody gets to see. So it's so important for us to take care of something that brings us so much happiness.
We're always picking garbage up out of the ocean every time we dive. We're always trying to make sure we're doing our part for the community.
It's really important for these organizations to work together, right? Like, a lot of people are doing exciting stuff, but if we don't talk to each other, we can't share these opportunities and experiences with each other.
We have partners in Halifax that have restaurants that provide sustainable seafood. And so one of them, the Flying Apron out in Somerville, was generous enough to provide a grand prize for today.
Yoel was a little boy that went to all of the ocean booths and was hanging out pretty much for the entire day. I remember handing him a piece of algae and I was like, "This is slimy, you want to touch it?" And he's like, "I love slimy." We have some sea lettuce and some Irish sea moss. We're collecting it in this beautiful bucket.
My bucket to make sand castles.
You're gonna make seaweed sandcastles.
Yeah,
That's fun.
I never did that before.
Oh. So at that point, I kind of saw the young budding biologist in him as well.
I think getting them interested in the ocean is one of my favorite things that keeps me kind of motivated in this work.
They'll grow up with that mentality and hopefully throughout their lives will take that extra step.
My mom could tell you stories of when I was like yay big, telling her I was going to be a marine biologist. And waking up every day, getting to do a job that directly contributes to something I love so much is an honor, really. It doesn't feel like work.
At the end of the day, we were drawing prizes, and Yoel really made an impact on me because I could see how excited he was about the ocean and how like meaningful this day was for him.
We are so excited. Drum roll. The grand prize winner goes to Yoel.
I know it's cliche to say, but the children are our future. So the more we can help them understand both our influence on the ocean and the ocean's influence on us, the better.
I love seaweed and I love science!
Overall, I think this was a huge success.
Good vibes, everybody was excited to be there. The sun was shining. Couldn't have asked for a better day.
I mean, it was the first time that Jen, Alana, and I planned an event together, and I think that was really the first of many.
I hope people see what we're doing and maybe decide to make some changes in their everyday lives to live for a better ocean.